The people next door. You wave at them in the morning. You hear their TV through the wall. You see their car pull into the driveway every evening at 6. But here's the thing. Do you really know them? Tonight, I have 3 true stories about the neighbors from hell. What would you do if you woke up one night and realized someone was standing outside your window? Not walking by, not passing through. I've always been a light sleeper. The smallest sound, a creak in the floor, a car passing outside, and I'm wide awake. I used to hate it, but looking back, that curse might have saved my life. So this happened about 3 years ago. I was 24 and I had just bought my first house. A small 2-bedroom place in a quiet neighborhood in Ohio. You know the type. Tree-lined streets. Everyone knows everyone. The kind of place where you leave your doors unlocked, where nothing bad ever happens. My neighbor to the right was this elderly woman named Mrs. Patterson. Sweet lady. Always baking cookies, always waving from her porch. But the house to my left, that one had been empty for months. Overgrown lawn, newspapers piling up on the porch. I figured the owner had moved away or maybe passed. Then one evening in October, I noticed the lights were on. I didn't see a moving truck, no furniture being carried in, just the lights. I figured maybe someone had bought the place. You know, fixing it up before moving in made sense. So I went about my evening, made dinner, watched some TV. Around 11, I went to bed. And that's when I felt it. You know that feeling? When someone is watching you? That prickle on the back of your neck. That sense that you're not alone. My bedroom window faces the neighbor's house. And even though my curtains were closed, I knew someone was out there, looking in. The next morning, I checked. The house looked the same. Lights off. No car in the driveway. I told myself I was being paranoid. But that night, same feeling. Stronger this time. I couldn't sleep. I lay there for hours, just staring at the ceiling. Around 2 a.m., I finally got the courage to peek through the curtain. The neighbor's window, directly across from mine. The curtain was pulled aside, and there was a face, just standing there, in the dark. I dropped the curtain so fast, backed away from the window. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. The next day, I asked Mrs. Patterson about the house. She said she hadn't seen anyone. No new neighbors, no visitors. That house has been empty for 2 years, dear, ever since Mr. Hollis passed away. But I saw someone. For the next week, I kept all my lights on at night. I bought blackout curtains. I didn't look at that window. I told myself it was my imagination. Then, on a Thursday night, I woke up to a sound, not outside. Footsteps, slow, deliberate, coming from downstairs. I grabbed my phone, hands shaking, called 911. I whispered that someone was in my house. The footsteps stopped. Then I heard them coming up the stairs. I locked my bedroom door, climbed out the window onto the roof. I stayed there, freezing, until I saw the police lights. They found the back door forced open, muddy footprints leading from the backyard, from the direction of the neighbor's house. When they searched the neighbor's property, they found a sleeping bag in the empty living room, food wrappers, and a notebook. The notebook was full of entries about me, what time I woke up, what I wore, when I turned off my lights, what I watched on TV. There were weeks of entries. They never caught him. Whoever he was, he disappeared that night. I sold the house a month later. I couldn't sleep there anymore. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that face in the window. Sometimes I still wonder, how many nights did he stand there, watching me sleep, before I finally noticed? But this next story, this one still keeps me up at night. Here's something I want you to think about. What would you do if you noticed that the children next door looked exactly the same as they did 3 years ago? Same height, same faces, same clothes, like time had just stopped for them. Children grow up, that's what they do. One year they're learning to walk, the next they're starting school. But the Harrison children, they don't. I moved to Maplewood back in 2019. Nice neighborhood. Tree-lined streets. The kind of place where you raise a family, you know. The Harrisons lived 2 houses down. Seemed like a normal family. Couple in their 40s, 3 kids, 2 boys, and a girl. The kids looked about 6, 8, and 10 when I first moved in. Cute kids, always playing in the yard, always smiling. I didn't think much about them at first. Just another family in the neighborhood. It was about 2 years later when I first noticed something was off. I was washing my car in the driveway. The Harrison kids walked by on the sidewalk. Same 3 kids, same height, same clothes. The youngest boy, he was still the same size. Same missing front tooth. Same dinosaur t-shirt he was wearing 2 years ago. I told myself I was misremembering. Kids grow at different rates, right? Maybe he was just small for his age. But then I started paying attention. Every day, those kids played in the yard. Same games. The oldest always pushed the youngest on the swing. The middle one always drew with chalk on the sidewalk. The same hopscotch pattern. I started taking photos, discreet ones, from my window. I compared them to photos from my first year in the neighborhood. They were identical. Same height, same faces, same everything. One night, I finally worked up the courage to ask another neighbor about it. Dave, the guy across the street. Hey Dave, how long have the Harrisons lived here? He gave me this strange look. Harrisons? I don't know any Harrisons. I pointed at their house. Right there. The family with 3 kids. Dave squinted at the house, then back at me. That house has been empty for years, man. That night, I watched the Harrison house from my window. The lights were on. I could see them inside. The parents sitting at the dinner table. The kids eating. Normal. Then the youngest looked up, directly at my window. And he smiled. That smile, it wasn't a child's smile. It was something wearing a child's face. Something that had forgotten how smiles were supposed to look. I backed away from the window, closed the blinds. When I looked again, the house was dark. No lights, no family, and on my lawn, 3 sets of small footprints in the morning dew, leading right up to my front door. I moved out the next week. Didn't even wait to sell, just packed up and left. I checked the property records later. That house has been listed as vacant since 2015, but sometimes, when I drive through that neighborhood, I still see them playing in the yard. Same 3 kids, same games, same smiles. Still not aging. This last story, I have to warn you, this one is real. And it's the most disturbing one I've come across. What would you do if you found out that someone had been living in your house, watching you for months? Not in a room you'd notice, not somewhere obvious, but behind a wall, in a space you didn't even know existed. This is one of those stories that, after you hear it, you'll want to check every door in your house. So this happened back in 2020. I had just gotten divorced and I needed a cheap place fast. Found this duplex for rent. You know, one of those houses split down the middle. 2 separate homes sharing one wall. It was small, but it was private. My own entrance, my own space. Perfect for starting over. My neighbor on the other side was this guy named Harold. Mid-50s, quiet, kept to himself. We'd nod at each other in passing, but that was about it. He worked nights. I'd hear his car leave around 10 p.m. and come back at 6 a.m. like clockwork. The only strange thing, I never once saw him take out his trash. My unit had this door in the hallway that led down to the basement. The landlord said it was just storage, nothing special. But the door had 3 deadbolts on it, all on my side. I asked the landlord about it when I moved in. He just said, keep those locked. The basement's shared. I didn't think much of it at the time. Kept the locks bolted and forgot about it. Until one night. Around 3 a.m., I woke up to a sound. Someone was trying the basement door from the other side. I lay there, frozen, listening. The doorknob rattled, then stopped. Footsteps, going back down the stairs. The next morning, I checked the locks, all still bolted. I told myself it was probably Harold, maybe sleepwalking, maybe confused. The basement was shared, right? But then it happened again and again. Every night, around 3 a.m., I started listening more carefully, and I realized the footsteps weren't just coming and going, they were pacing back and forth, right on the other side of that door, for hours. One night, I watched Harold's side of the duplex from outside. His car was gone. He was at work. But the footsteps in the basement were still there. I couldn't take it anymore. I called the landlord, demanded answers. There was a long silence on the phone. Then he said, "The previous tenant in your unit, she complained about the same thing. She disappeared 3 months ago." That night, I sat in the hallway, baseball bat in my hands, waiting. 3 a.m., the footsteps started. Then, silence, and a voice from the other side of the door. "I know you're there." The door shook. All 3 deadbolts strained against the frame. Then the voice started laughing. This high-pitched, broken laugh that didn't sound human. I ran, grabbed my keys, my phone, and I ran. I called the police from my car. They searched the basement. They found a room behind a false wall. A mattress, food wrappers, and photographs. Photographs of me, sleeping, eating, showering. Harold wasn't working nights. He was watching. And the previous tenant, the one who disappeared, they found her remains in the crawl space. Those 3 deadbolts, they weren't there to keep something out. They were there to keep something in. The next time you hear footsteps above you, or notice your neighbor's lights on at 3 a.m., or see them standing in their window, just watching, ask yourself, do you really know who's living next door? If these stories kept you awake tonight, hit subscribe and the notification bell. I upload new true horror stories every week. And if you have your own true scary story, leave it in the comments. You might just hear it in a future video. Stay safe out there.